What's going on, game players? How are you guys doing? I want to welcome you guys to a round table discussion with two really good friends of mine. First off, I want to start with the guy that you know who writes in every week. Man, this guy's been the heartbeat, let me tell you. I want to welcome Mr. Cody Clark. What's going on, brother? How you feeling, man?
Pretty good. Nice evening. End of Game of Thrones. Time for a new chapter, so let's kick it up.
Oh, man, that's what's up, man. Most definitely. And second, but absolutely, definitely not least, the first person, actually, I have to put this out there again, to actually be kind enough to donate a brand new game to me. I have to welcome Mr. Goose. What is going on, brother? How have you been?
I've been doing fine, except I totally forgot that I gave you Monster Hunter World back in the day.
Yes, you did.
We never go up.
I know. You know what? I have to do that for you, man. I have to, Goose. I'm very greatly appreciative of you doing that. That's something that you didn't have to do. And if I didn't thank you face to face, or at least voice to voice, thank you again for that. I really appreciated it, man.
Absolutely. Was it just you would sit on air where you were like, I don't know if I want to buy it or not? And I was like, buy it.
That was probably me. More than likely.
Make the decision easy.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? We're here, man. Now the culprit this time, I think, who was the culprit last time? Was it you, Cody, or was it Mike J? I forget who had us all here together the time before. But
let's blame Mike. He's not here.
Let's blame Mike. Yeah. But this week, Goose, it was something that you wanted to talk about. Now, this is something that everybody in the gaming industry is talking about, and many people, pretty much everybody that's into the gaming culture has an opinion about this, and this is the Microsoft and Sony merger. If you didn't know, well, maybe not a merger, but a partnership. My mistake. A partnership with the cloud gaming infrastructure. So, Goose, I guess we can start off. Did you see this coming? Was this something that you thought was going to happen? Because most people thought they would have went with Google, but we see that didn't happen. So did you ever think, go ahead, man, I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
Well, it's like we all saw the job postings from Sony, like it was maybe like 4 or 6 months ago, where they said they were just starting to hire people to build a cloud. And it was like, there's no way possible that Sony in 4 to 6, like I'm sure whatever tech engineers they got sat there and said, okay, we're going to need a budget of $2 to $3 million. We're going to need 5 years. We're going to build 18 data centers. And that was when Sony was like, done. Thanks. Goodbye. We're done hiring you. This is moving on. It's like they needed somebody for our partnership for, because it would have been impossible. Like it would have been the most slapdash version of a cloud you can possibly imagine. And the other thing was like that Gaikai service. It's like with PlayStation VR a while ago when I was complaining that the PlayStation VR was utilizing equipment that was new when there was the Kinect 1.0. And it's like those motion controls, the PlayStation Move was really old. And it's like Gaikai was already old when Sony bought it. And it was already at the point where they're streaming, 720p, 30 frames per second, and extreme input lag is the best you can do out of it. And it's like they realized they needed to build their own proprietary thing, and it was just too late. Like, I didn't see that they were going to hire somebody else. I didn't have that level of foresight, but I was like, I thought this generation they were just going to skip the cloud and then tell everybody that their marketing thing is to say they're dinosaurs who love being dinosaurs. Go get your clamshells with CDs in them. No digital for you, But it's like, 5 years ago, Sony didn't have the budget to start building a cloud. And it's like now it's all of a sudden it's like, the analogy I see to it is that like Sony is like the kid on the school bus to elementary school where he got picked up last and he thinks he can get his homework done before he gets to school. But everyone beside him is like, dude, there's no more stops. The bus is getting off in 10 minutes, dude. You don't have a cloud. And then he's looking around like, hey, Microsoft, can I pay you $20 to get your part of your cloud? Copy it, please. Let me copy your cloud for the teacher. And it's like, man, like the kid in the cookie jar. You know, they just got caught with their pants down when it came to the cloud. And they had no choice with it. And it's like, and the thing is, it's not something that should be something to be ashamed of or angry about. It's like, that's a good thing. Everything with Xbox is online. It's like, it's been, what are they up to now? 14 years or 15 years that Xbox Live and everything with their online has been the bar standard for all of online gaming. Like, consecutive. Like, they're at the point now where, isn't that like, in the NBA, they'd call that like a dynasty?
Mm-hmm. In most sports, after 3 years, it's a dynasty now, but no.
Yeah, it's like, it's been the bar standard. So if somebody else, like, even when we're sitting there talking about like Nintendo potentially even using Microsoft's everything for it, and whatchamacallit, Phil Spencer has been just nonstop advertising it and blowhorning it to everybody, saying like, we want the cloud on everything. We want Xbox on every device. We want every device on Xbox. Like, if we go to E3, what are we now, 2 weeks from E3?
Man, we are close. We are very close.
June 9th when we get back from the airport will be the Microsoft convention as we're touching down.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah, that
wow.
really snuck up. I was expecting every show to have their whole, like, well, even the times where they accidentally mention it and everyone does their, obligatory groan and goes like, oh, too soon to talk about E3, man.
It's not, man. It's close, brother. It's getting there.
Yeah.
Memorial Day and then E3, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If Microsoft has built-in integrated structure so that I can just play certain games through, like, just streaming on xCloud through my Xbox, I'd totally do it. So if they were like, here's Spider-Man, go play it, and I'd be great, superhero open world action. I'll pay the, like the way Cody does Game Pass, I'll do the $1 for a month, and then try out Spider-Man, finish it, and be like, and done. Thank you, cloud.
So,
it was that article I sent you, Kiaun, the one where they were quoted at, like whatever, Sony's current subscription, their online subscription thing is like 700,000 subscribers.
It's
which
worldwide.
Like, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. But when you consider 93 million PlayStation 4s,
exactly
less than 1%.
Yeah,
like it's like 0.75%. Like Xbox has more Xbox Live users concurrent. Like I think they're up to like 12 million Xbox Live users.
That's pretty high.
And Game Pass is up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, so.
Yeah. Well, do you guys think that this was necessary? I mean, because you think about all of these other players that are getting in to the game or possibly trying to get into it outside of, Google Stadia. You have Walmart saying they're trying to get in. Amazon is, of course, trying to get in, as well as
Apple.
Many others. Yeah, Apple as
Walmart?
well. Yeah, Walmart.
Yep.
Yeah.
They want to have a piece of that pie too. Yeah.
Cloud gaming?
Yeah, They want a piece, man. They definitely want a piece.
One of the most valuable companies in the world, so of course they're going to try to expand to that pie. So
exactly. Wow. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, do you think that because Sony for so long, everyone has said is, well, not for so long, but lately, people have been saying that, Sony is probably going to be the last traditional console manufacturer out there. They're not going to put their stuff.
As long as someone gives Nintendo $1, those guys are going to stick around in some form or, like I said in a prior email, they have those IPs. When you think of gaming, nothing's more indicative of console gaming than Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, like those, like, okay, you have current Sony IPs, but, where's like traditional stuff? Battle Arena Toshinden, long dead. Killzone, when was the last time they had a decent, Killzone game? Like old, all the Final Fantasies.
When was the first time they had a decent Killzone game? And don't name the Vita one.
Man.
They got like 3 or 4 attempts, right?
Yeah, they had several attempts.
That was their thing. They pushed, they wanted to be their Gears of War, but Gears of War is Gears 5.
No, Killzone was the Halo killer.
Yeah, right. Sure, I
totally built that as the Halo killer again and again, like with Haze and whatever that third one was.
Yeah. You know what? Just a sidetrack though. You know what? They asked the developers about that at Gorilla, and they actually said they never ever said that. They said someone else.
Yeah, marketing.
Yeah,
marketing probably.
Exactly. They said they had no they were not trying to do that. They said that was something they weren't trying to do, go up against Halo. So
side story. When I worked at Mythic, we were working on whatever stuff. So at the end of the heydays, about a year and a half before, when I was promoted to a lead in CS, and so they were pushing out Dungeon Keeper Forever, that horrible mobile game, and Ultima Forever and Dungeon Keeper Online. They were pushing those out. Ultima Forever, they had a big whiteboard because the Ultima Forever people split the CS room because we had a huge, massive work bay. So they just took half the room and put all the developers down there. And they had their Wish whiteboard all over the place where a bunch of people had sticky notes everywhere with all sorts of stuff going on. And there was this big whiteboard where they had a big list of things. Where they had Ultima Forever, next step would be viral marketing, blah, 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 this, next game, Ultima X, ? Skyrim killer, ? And then moving down, and this was 7 years ago, right? So that's they throw those things out there. Someone comes up, one of the producers comes up and is always what's going to be our big thing? And, it's funny to look back at stuff every studio innately does that. Everyone said with Warhammer Online, is this going to be the WoW killer? And the
WoW killer for decades. Right, oh my God, so many dead MMOs all called is this the WoW killer? You know what? Why would you want the game you develop to destroy something other people enjoy? And it's come on, man. As a developer, you're I'll make something someone will also enjoy.
Yeah.
No, later.
We all only have so many finite hours to play in a time dump like that,
Very true. Very true.
It's the same mentality they had. When the culture I was part of EA, it was your game is either Clash of Clans, Call of Duty, or one other. Those are the three games, and that's all EA cared about. And from 2008 to 2012, that's all they cared about. Is they needed you to be one of the blah blah. One of these big three, Clash of Clans and Call of Duty, there were big two, and there was one third one that I freaking forget. And that was brought up from on high from the CEOs and the shareholders and so that. But luckily, apparently, if Sony's come to their senses and been oh snap, then cool, thank goodness.
Yeah. And also because of when I've been listening online to random, whether YouTubers or just podcasters, it's a lot of vindication out there for the people who've been saying, they're the hypocrites who say that Sony is 100% only going to do discs forever and they don't want an all digital future. They don't want the cloud. That's why I love and I hate Microsoft, love Sony. And it's all the podcasts we told you, Sony wants exactly what Microsoft has. They want that to be their future. They absolutely want that profitability, the always online, everything that was fear-mongered about in 2013 falsely, all the BS, this is how you can trade your games and everything they did to try and desperately get out of bankruptcy. And it's they wanted the cloud, they wanted this, they all want it. And it's all of a sudden here's as everyone's called it, the bending the knee and saying they have to partnership to get it because they weren't ready.
Now this is something I want to, throw into the conversation. Now, like I was mentioning before, you have all of these outside parties that are trying to, bombard their way into the gaming sphere, into this space. Do you think also that maybe, just maybe, now we know Microsoft, they want money. All these companies, they want money. That's the thing that drives them first and foremost. But do you think that them seeing, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, seeing these outsiders trying to infiltrate something that they have had for many, many years, Nintendo over 30 years, do you think that maybe Sony said, well, you know what, maybe I need to get with Microsoft, kind of align myself with them to try and fight off these outside companies, try to align with, I'm not going to say they're enemies, but, your competition to help move the possible competition out of the space. Do you think that was also something maybe they were thinking about as well?
Well, since they chose Microsoft, it probably came down to the gaming expertise because it's between Google or Walmart. Or even Amazon. Amazon's been trying to get everybody on that. What was it? The Lumberyard?
Lumberyard.
So, yeah, but it's not like that stuff has exploded. People with whether it's the Amazon apps on a smart TV, it's it really hasn't been something that's any type of, like, they haven't announced any huge success out of it.
Yep.
And if they were going to choose a partner, it's like that's technically going with the best. If the whole situation were reverse, Microsoft's strategy would have been to go one notch down. So then if Microsoft was the one in Sony's shoes right now, they would have gone with Stadia and Google over, pretending Sony would be the one with the properly made cloud like Microsoft is in this real world. They would have gone with the number 2, but, Sony doesn't have the same corporate strategy where it's, they'll be like, we'll go with the best. And it's like, good choice. Good choice.
Well, Also the other thing to look at it is, remember, it's Microsoft and Sony taking on Google. It's not Xbox and PlayStation taking on Stretch.
That's a good point.
It affects their entire core. It's going to be, they're using Microsoft's AI. They're using Microsoft's cloud because those are superior. Microsoft likely will be getting big discounts on Sony produced, because Microsoft doesn't produce its own chipsets. Sony still produces its own chipsets. So if they're going to cut a deal that way, that means their chipsets for like their detection stuff to put in their wireless receiving and their future AR stuff. Sony has that technology and has, they had data technology, but they're still the ones that are pushing the technology for VR. They still have that. So, in the best of both worlds, you would essentially have, you play, ideally PlayStation VR on the Azure cloud, sort of like the best of both worlds. And that could be used externally. That could then continue on with like educational stuff, like all of the HoloLens stuff for like Carnegie Mellon and stuff for like medical procedures and emergency response trainings. They use a lot of VR and augmented reality stuff for right now. So that goes, and that's big government money. And let's be real, as much as gaming is, $100 billion a year, big government money. If you're going to get big, if you're going to get Boeing and, big money from like big government contractors, and then Japan with this stuff, it's corporate stuff. That's also a lot of big money that they can just wean away from Google and Amazon. So yes, gaming is important, but you've also got that big, the thing that people just haven't pointed out yet is that sweet government contract. Because you're talking, we think hundreds of millions of dollars in gaming. Government contracting is tens of billions of dollars. So again, more scratch that way. So I think bigger picture is it lets them lay out, and it lets them, even if they just put a toe in that big contractor field, that gives them another source of income, and makes it a lot easier for them to do other stuff. Plus, isn't it PlayStation launching a new a new TV / aren't they cutting the Sony pictures and making like a PlayStation movie studios? I thought I saw an article about that.
Really? Are you serious?
I might have misread it. I need to go look.
I know that the Sony Pictures division has been struggling lately. I do know that they've lost quite a bit of money. A couple of episodes ago, I was talking about it. They've lost. Oh man, they've been in a tough spot lately. But but I don't know about that, Cody. I'm not sure, brother.
It might have been a rumor on our site that I thought someone specifically said that PlayStation was going to spin off and do, because Sony Movie has been losing a lot of money.
Right, right.
What makes money at Sony is PlayStation and Sony Music.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I think it would make sense, if it was true, because like you said, their bread and butter, it is definitely the gaming's division as well as the music. And I think that the PlayStation brand is actually doing better than the music right now at this point. But don't quote me on that. Don't quote me though. But I wanted to ask you guys, now this is something that I'm not very familiar with. Now we know that this is going to be beneficial both for Microsoft and Sony. Sony will be able to have access to Microsoft's Azure. How do you pronounce it? Azure. Okay, Azure data centers. But I've also heard that Microsoft, and maybe you guys can tell me about this because I have no idea what this is, but they were saying that Microsoft will have access to Sony's image sensors. Now, when I think of image sensors, I think of something maybe Kinect related. Not saying that Kinect is coming back or anything like that, but something to do with maybe some VR or something like that.
Well, no, image processing sensors. So they're talking about like sensors you would put in to like similar to like I was talking about the AR, VR stuff like that would be used for like the ones that
probably
HoloLens, like a HoloLens, or it'll be something that you sit on your device and it'll scope out, it'll map the area around you for mapping stuff, like stuff you'd use in like your Roomba or any of those imaging sensors are used for. That's what Google uses for its Google Map, the cars that wander around. They use similar ones like that for the self-driving cars. Like those imaging sensors are used in everything, and they're super valuable right now. So,
wow. Yeah. So like you said, it's big business, man. It's a lot of money.
And like I said, Microsoft doesn't make its own chips, but Sony still does. So that would save if they could cut a deal and Microsoft can basically get like, hey, give us 10% on, 1 million chips. That's a lot of money. And then, augmented reality / future technology for, all sorts of stuff, throwing them in their new giant, those big $30,000, 60, that would be that way you could, the stuff you could do with that will be, light years. So.
Absolutely. Man, the recording stopped. I got it back up and running. So, listeners out there, if you hear a skip after I edit this, that's what happened. The recording stopped, but we're back on track though. Don't even worry about it. But really quickly though, you know what? I don't know if you guys were aware of this, and we've kind of past it a little bit. I meant to bring it up while we were talking about it, but it was a report that did say that Sony did go to Amazon, but the report did say that they unfortunately couldn't reach an agreement. And I'm trying to figure out why do you guys think that could have possibly been, the reason they just couldn't reach an agreement? Do you think it's because maybe Amazon, since they're trying to get in, that it could have been a conflict of interest? Or do you guys still believe that, Microsoft was just the better choice because it has the better Azure, infrastructure?
Amazon is de facto the leader in cloud computing, cloud storage, cloud whatever. So they have look at their price. Look at Google and Amazon's prices. They're like $1,000 a share or something. Their ego is probably up there. So they probably just they just probably went to Microsoft and like, look, we need whatever. Are you game? And then Microsoft was like, duh, yeah. Because don't forget, this also tells you a good story, right? Microsoft, no matter which side of the fence you're on, everyone's talking about Microsoft and Sony working together. If it was Microsoft and Amazon, everyone's going to be like, of course they'd do that, because screw Microsoft. But so I think Microsoft did this smart play and was like, yeah, man, come to play, we'll help you out. No shame, no haughtiness. This isn't, like Sega. And, once Sega stopped doing consoles and then made their, when the first Sonic game came on the Nintendo, and everyone was like,
I was blown. Never happen. I was blown, brother. I'm not going to lie to you. I was tripped out, man. What was it on GameCube, I think, right?
Probably. I don't recall.
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure or whatever it was.
Absolutely. I was blown away, man. But yeah, this is, man, just so interesting. It was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh, since this is happening, do you guys think, now this is a bridge that has somewhat been crossed already, but do you guys think that because, Sony and Microsoft are going to have a partnership, that this opens the door up for crossplay even more so? Or do you think that they'll just kind of keep it separate for right now?
Considering the network issues that Sony always has, I think that's one of the major issues and why only Fortnite really ever did it. I mean, very few other games. So, and eventually, obviously, freaking Rocket League, now that Epic owns it too.
I know, man.
But I would, in my heart of hearts, I hope, but I don't know if that's really going to be the issue. If they're going to keep because we don't know we don't know what they're going to integrate. We don't know how much they're integrate. We don't know if they're just using the back end, if they're going to make their own, like they're going to take the technology and use themselves, or if Microsoft is just going to be like, and we share whatever and find some way, because I mean, it would be nice because it would thereby give Microsoft access to the 93 million, Sony people, Sony owners and say, hey, you can come do whatever and come play with our friends, which would be brilliant. But at this point, it's just too early. Like literally, they just have a partnership. For all we know, it might just be a bunch of stuffy kids with like big glasses sitting in a room theorizing about what modem is the fastest. We don't know yet.
Right. Got you. How do you feel about it, Goose? What's your take on it, man?
Well, it's unfortunately I've said the same thing before, where it's just I look forward to the day of pulling up my list on Xbox Live, seeing my friends that are on there, and then just pressing D-pad left and seeing my friends that are on PlayStation, and then press D-pad left again and see all my friends that are on Nintendo Switch, and just send them text messages or say, hey, do you want to play X? Do you want to play Y? And we can just put the party together and play. Like, I would die happy knowing that we could all just do that regardless of platform that we're on, instead of any of the proprietary BS going on.
Yeah, and better yet, universal save, where I can just go over to go to our buddy's house as a PlayStation. I can just log on and automatically have my Overwatch character, or log on and do whatever. I'm like, hey,
not have to start over.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that is a really, really good selling point, not having to start over on another platform. I think that is fantastic. Cross saves would be amazing if that was the case. But I have to tell you guys, now I just want to express some feelings on this one real quick, as far as the, under one HUD. Do you guys think that may possibly hurt gaming? Now hear me out really quickly. What I mean by that is competition basically goes to the side. It's no more competition. Everybody's under the same roof. Do you
right.
Think
you're looking at the argument you have in the broadest argument to look at it is you're saying it's the free market solution. Everyone arguing and fighting against each other brings out the best in everybody, which in many cases, yes. But at the same time, I don't think what's killing me? What are Sony and Microsoft not fighting over? Loot boxes. Who's doing that? Ubisoft, EA, Bethesda, stuff like that. Like those nasty predatory things. Sony and Microsoft make their money off of licenses. They don't, they have some good games that they want to have, but no, I think anything that's killing the game industry is going to be greedy. Is going to be the other guys that are trying to nickel and dime every dollar out of this. It's not, not going to want to play whatever. Like, what the beauty and hope that Anthem could have been and what it turned out being, that sort of stuff. And then ad-driven media being negative about whatever, being hyper whatever, and like screaming at Rage being this terrible, horrible thing because they only gave it 6 hours to play.
That is bogus.
So, I think it's irrelevant because, it's just like, yeah, you can say Xbox is basketball and PlayStation is football, but you could also have, you have your teams within, where you have your Call of Duty, your Battlefield, your Overwatch, your Fortnite, your single player games, your multiplayer games, your service games, your little micro play on the phone games, and those keep going up. And then whatever falls through the cracks when big companies stop making whatever, that's when you have the indies show up that make these ridiculously cool games. So yeah, we lament and we lack the craze. Like Xbox definitely lacks the power of first party titles it had in the 360 heyday.
Yeah.
But then they fall. Sony takes up the mantle, goes for a bit. Maybe Nintendo shows up, and then Nintendo or whatever company will lick their wounds in the next generation, whatever. And so at least we have that. So I feel like it's kind of a recycled system at this point. It's self-sustaining, it's sustainable in this way. And the thing that scares me is just going to be, I don't want ever, just like back in the day, every game was an MMO. I mean, I remember that, like every PC game was Conan, EverQuest, World of Warcraft, Shadowbane, blah, 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 blah. There was 75 freaking MMOs. And then they learned those were bad. And then they went free to play. And now they're going like, wait, let's charge them for the game and then charge them for the content in the game that we used to just freaking hand in and put in as secrets. So, Now, go ahead, Goose. I didn't mean to cut you off if you were going to say something, brother. Go ahead, man.
With me, it's the when it comes to the future gaming, I just want the toxicity that comes from the era we unfortunately live in, like the best of times, the worst of times.
Yeah.
Where it's just like we get the best stuff, but at the same time, people act so toxic and tribal about what they choose. Like, I'm going to get on this boat and I hope your boat sinks. And it's like, why would you want that?
I hear
Why would you ever want
that?
that? Like, we can both sail in the ocean. It'll be all right. Like,
right.
but my boat has more sails than your boat has. Ha 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 ha. And it's like, no, we should both be, and if we can help each other out, let's help each other out. Let's both enjoy, being on the same boat and sharing the same, the harvest of the same games and everything,
Right.
But getting rid of number one, the toxicity between gamers, and number two, the toxicity that is carried by the absolute trash that is ad-driven media. Like, just to say goodbye to all the Stone Age, the true dinosaurs of the industry, like the video game reviewers that exist on ad-driven websites, all the GameSpot, IGN, Polygon, Kotaku, all the rage bait places that try to monetize everything by just tearing everything apart and bringing everything down. Like, getting rid of all of that would be amazing, and moving past it. Like, when you mentioned Rage 2 for that hot second there, and various outlets that have been attacking that game because of whatever BS. We're just like, I took one step back and looked at it where it was like, okay, some jerk who works in ad-driven media wrote an article that says nobody knows what Rage 2 is because they're not buying enough of
you saw that?
Yeah, and it's like, and then Bethesda writes back to lol, who even are you? And it's like, yeah, good job, Bethesda. Stick it back to him, because it's like, you can't sit there and hold a company ransom and say the whole, oh, well, everyone would know what your game is if you just bought more of our ad space. And it's like, that's the underlying message behind this garbage, that the clickbait of just saying that, oh, this game, nobody knows what it is. It's like, everybody knows what Rage 2 is. Every single gamer already knows about it coming out. We all had it on our look forward to list. I picked it up, and I'm loving it. It was the thing last week, where I was being a slacker, and I was looking for every reason to not do anything that I was supposed to do. And
that would be that way you could, the stuff you could do with that will be light years. So
Absolutely, man. The recording stopped. I got it back up and running. So, listeners out there, if you hear a skip after I edit this, that's what happened. The recording stopped, but we're back on track, though. Don't even worry about it. But really quickly, though, you know what? I don't know if you guys were aware of this, and we've kind of past it a little bit. I meant to bring it up while we were talking about it, but it was a report that did say that Sony did go to Amazon, but the report did say that they unfortunately couldn't reach an agreement. And I'm trying to figure out, why do you guys think that could have possibly been, the reason they just couldn't reach an agreement? Do you think it's because maybe Amazon, since they're trying to get in, that it could have been a conflict of interest? Or do you guys still believe that, Microsoft was just the better choice because it has the better Azure, infrastructure?
Amazon is de facto the leader in cloud computing, cloud storage, cloud whatever. So they have look at their price. Look at Google and Amazon's prices. They're like $1,000 a share or something. Their ego is probably up there. So they probably just they just probably went to Microsoft and like, look, we need whatever. Are you game? And then Microsoft was like, duh, yeah. Because don't forget, this also tells you a good story, right? Microsoft, no matter which side of the fence you're on, everyone's talking about Microsoft and Sony working together. If it was Microsoft and Amazon, everyone's going to be like, oh, of course they do that, because screw Microsoft. But so I think Microsoft did this smart play, and it was like, yeah, man, come to play, we'll help you out. No shame, no haughtiness. This isn't, like Sega, and, once Sega stopped doing consoles and then made their free, when the first Sonic game came on the Nintendo, and everyone was like, "Oh,
I was blown. I was blown, brother. I'm not going to lie to you. I was tripped out, man. What was it on GameCube? I think, right?
Probably. I don't recall.
Yeah,
Sonic Adventure or whatever it was.
Absolutely, I was blown away, man. But yeah, this is, man, just so interesting. It was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh. Since this is happening, do you guys think, now this is a bridge that has somewhat been crossed already, but do you guys think that because, Sony and Microsoft are going to have a partnership, that this opens the door up for crossplay even more so? Or do you think that they'll just kind of keep it separate for right now? Considering the network issues that Sony always has, I think that's one of the major issues, and why only Fortnite really ever did it. I mean, very few other games. So
and eventually, obviously, freaking Rocket League, now that Epic owns it too.
I know, man.
But I would, in my heart of hearts, I hope, but I don't know if that's really going to be the issue, if they're going to keep because we don't know we don't know what they're going to integrate. We don't know how much they're integrate. We don't know if they're just using the back end, if they're going to make their own, like they're going to take the technology and use themselves, or if Microsoft is just going to be like, and we share whatever and find some way, because, I mean, it would be nice because it would thereby give Microsoft access to the 93 million, say Sony people, Sony owners, and say, hey, you can come do whatever and come play with our friends, which would be brilliant. But at this point, it's just too early. Like literally, they just have a partnership. For all we know, it might just be a bunch of stuffy kids with like big glasses sitting in a room theorizing about what modem is the fastest. We don't know yet.
Right. Got you. How do you feel about it, Goose? What's your take on it, man?
Well, it's unfortunately I've said the same thing before, where it's just I look forward to the day of pulling up my list on Xbox Live, seeing my friends that are on there, and then just pressing D-pad left and seeing my friends that are on PlayStation, and then press D-pad left again and see all my friends that are on Nintendo Switch, and just send them text messages or say, hey, do you want to play X? Do you want to play Y? And we can just put the party together and play. I would die happy knowing that we could all just do that regardless of platform that we're on, instead of any of the proprietary BS going on.
Yeah, and better yet, universal save, where I can just go over to
whatever.
Go to our buddy's house as a PlayStation. I can just log on and automatically have my Overwatch character, or log on and do whatever. I'm like, hey,
not have to start over.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that is a really, really good selling point, not having to start over on another platform. I think that is fantastic. Cross saves would be amazing if that was the case. But I have to tell you guys now I just want to express some feelings on this one real quick, as far as the, under one HUD. Do you guys think that may possibly hurt gaming? Now hear me out really quickly. What I mean by that is competition basically goes to the side. It's no more competition. Everybody's under the same roof. Do you think
you're looking at the argument you have in the broadest argument to look at it is you're saying it's the free market solution. Everyone arguing and fighting against each other brings out the best in everybody, which in many cases, yes. But at the same time, I don't think what's killing me? What are Sony and Microsoft not fighting over? Loot boxes. Who's doing that? Ubisoft, EA, Bethesda, and stuff like that. Like those nasty predatory things. Sony and Microsoft make their money off of licenses. They don't. They have some good games that they want to have, but no, I think anything that's killing the game industry is going to be greedy. Is going to be the other guys that are trying to nickel and dime every dollar out of us. It's not, not going to want to play whatever. What the beauty and hope that Anthem could have been and what it turned out being, that sort of stuff. And then ad-driven media being negative about whatever, being hyper whatever, and screaming at Rage being this terrible, horrible thing because they only gave it 6 hours to play.
That is bogus.
So, I don't know. I think it's irrelevant because, it's just like, yeah, you can say Xbox is basketball and PlayStation is football, but you could also have, you have your teams within, where you have your Call of Duty, your Battlefield, your Overwatch, your Fortnite, your single player games, your multiplayer games, your service games, your little micro play on the phone games, and those keep going up. And then whatever falls through the cracks when big companies stop making whatever, that's when you have the indies show up that make these ridiculously cool games. So yeah, we lament and we lack the craze. Like Xbox definitely lacks the power of first party titles it had in the 360 heyday. But then they fall. Sony takes up the mantle, goes for a bit. Maybe Nintendo shows up, and then Nintendo or whatever company will lick their wounds in the next generation, whatever. And so at least we have that. So I feel like it's kind of a recycled system at this point. It's self-sustaining, it's sustainable in this way. And the thing that scares me is just going to be, I don't want just like back in the day, every game was an MMO. I mean, I remember that, like every PC game was Conan, EverQuest, World of Warcraft, Shadowbane, blah, 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 blah. There was 75 freaking MMOs. And then they learned those were bad, and then they went free to play. And now they're going like, wait, let's charge them for the game and then charge them for the content in the game that we used to just freaking hand in and put in as secrets. So,
Now, go ahead, Goose. I didn't mean to cut you off if you were going to say something, brother. Go ahead, man.
With me, it's the when it comes to the future gaming, I just want the toxicity that comes from the era we unfortunately live in, like the best of times, the worst of times.
Yeah.
Where it's just like we get the best stuff, but at the same time, people act so toxic and tribal about what they choose. Like, I'm going to get on this boat and I hope your boat sinks. And it's like, why would you want that?
I hear
Why would you ever want that? Like, we can both sail in the ocean. It'll be all right. Like,
right.
But my boat has more sails than your boat has. Ha 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 ha. And it's like, no, we should both be, and if we can help each other out, let's help each other out. Let's both enjoy, being on the same boat and sharing the same, the harvest of the same games and everything,
Right.
But getting rid of number one, the toxicity between gamers, and number two, the toxicity that is carried by the absolute trash that is ad-driven media. Like, just to say goodbye to all the Stone Age, the true dinosaurs of the industry, like the video game reviewers that exist on ad-driven websites, all the GameSpot, IGN, Polygon, Kotaku, all the rage bait places that that try to monetize everything by just tearing everything apart and bringing everything down. Like, getting rid of all of that would be amazing, and moving past it. Like, when you mentioned Rage 2 for that hot second there, and various outlets that have been attacking that game because of whatever BS. We're just like, I took one step back and looked at it where it was like, okay, some jerk who works in ad-driven media wrote an article that says nobody knows what Rage 2 is because they're not buying enough of our
you saw
ads.
that?
Yeah, and it's like, and then Bethesda writes back to lol, who even are you? And it's like, yeah, good job, Bethesda. Stick it back to them, because it's like, you can't sit there and hold a company ransom and say the whole, oh, well, everyone would know what your game is if you just bought more of our ad space. And it's like, that's the underlying message behind this garbage, that the clickbait of just saying that, oh, this game, nobody knows what it is. It's like, everybody knows what Rage 2 is. Every single gamer already knows about it coming out. We all had it on our look forward to list. I picked it up, and I'm loving it. It was the thing last week, where I was being a slacker, and I was looking for every reason to not do anything that I was supposed to do. And I made every excuse in the world every morning to just pick up Rage 2 and keep playing it and be like, oh, I had so many things that I wanted to get done today, and I didn't do any of them just to play more Rage 2. It just feels so good. The gameplay is like, the more you unlock, it's the more you're playing with cheat codes on, and you just feel super powerful and fun, just blasting everything out of your path.
Wow. So really quickly, go ahead, Goose. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, man.
Well, I was going to say, the thing is, like, when various journalism outlets, the ad-driven media want to attack Rage and try to punish Bethesda for ever saying the lol, who even are you line. And it's like, it just stinks, because the toxicity being more valuable for them to do than helping anything out. So, like, for example, I used to have a lot of respect for Jim Sterling, but over the years, like, it's dwindled. And it's like, Jim Sterling did a video about Rage 2 where it was his, like, Jimpressions, where he spent, like, the first hour or two playing the game and then just giving his impressions of it. And unfortunately, all of his impressions of it were misinformation about it, because he didn't play enough to actually find out what's actually in the game to give proper impressions of what it is. And the whole thing is, like, he wants to get the information out first. And it's like, dude, you shouldn't care. Just get it out and get the information out right. Like, he was bashing the game for the whole, like, oh, well, the first person shooting off, sure, that feels good, but then you have to hunt these stupid storage containers that they hid everywhere, and, oh, that just changes the pacing and makes it go from fast to slow, and I hate that so much. And it's like, well, if you kept playing the game, you would have found that, like, there's perk trees and everything. Your guns have perk trees per gun. Each of your abilities has a perk tree. Every single plot in the game has a perk tree in it. And then outside of that, you have permanent upgrades you can buy with nanotech to boost all your stats. And if he had just played more of the game, he would have found one of the perk trees in the plot with the scientist guy is homing beacons for every type of collectible in the game. So all of the complaints about having to find them is completely moot. Like, I love finding collectibles. I'm a bloodhound. I love finding all the secret hidden things. Whenever I'm doing co-op, I'm the guy finding all the Intel laptops and pointing to everybody going, yo, 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 I got an Intel laptop back here. I found somebody's dog tags over here. I found the secret entrance over here, and everyone's running over to where I am to get whatever secret that I found. But after having unlocked and found manually, like, I think the first 2 entire zones out of the 5, I had unlocked everything just natively, and then I found the dude, got the tree, and I was like, I think I've earned the ability now to just snuff them out automatically. And you can just do that. And all of a sudden you can just immediately collect all the power-ups and then move on to the next action sequence. Thanks you, Cody, for that proper marketing term.
Yeah, there you go, man.
You can play a little sound effect of like, wah, wah.
Go ahead.
Rage
Goose.
2, tons of fun. Go ahead with what point you were going to say.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask you really quickly because right now I think if my memory serves me correctly, it's averaging around like a 72 right now. What would you personally give it? Because I haven't picked it up yet. I haven't.
It's a solid 8, and if you want to be generous, give it an 8.5. It's not really up at a 9. My legitimate complaints about it are, I'm playing it on Xbox One, and it has hard crashed on me 3 times.
Ooh.
The first and second day, it was like the first time I picked it up, it was usually like the first or second settlement I'd go to. I'd get like 3/4 of the way through, and then it would be that thing where the audio, starts repeating over and over again, and then it just crashes the desktop. And then I had a soft lock when I was changing zones in an elevator, and the invisible load between the two, where it swapped the environment. The music kept playing, but the game had frozen. And so I had to manually cut it out and reboot it. And then, there's some issues with NPCs in town where like a shop, it won't load the shopkeeper. It'll put up the icon, but not the shopkeeper. And if you hold down the button to enter the shop, it plays some audio, but then doesn't go into the shop. And there was one point where I exited a room and 2 NPCs were waiting for me. 2 of the exact same NPC were waiting at the bar, and every time each one of them had to fully say their audio clip, and then the identical twin had to say the exact same audio clip. Then the first identical twin had to say the next audio clip, and then the second one had to say the second audio clip, and they were just bouncing back and forth, repeating the same lines. And I was just sitting there going like, I recorded the clip because I was like, okay, sure, double your fun, except not. But right. There's bugs and glitches. And
in Anthem, we call that a Monday. So,
yeah. So those are legitimate complaints about it. It is buggy. I don't know if it has those bugs on PlayStation 4, but on Xbox One, it does have those glitches that happen with it. So,
okay. So it has
4 times crashing and various NPC load-in issues. Also, in terms of the graphics, there's a lot of pop-in. Whether or not people try to attribute it to the flying vehicle, but it's like, I'm on the Xbox One X, which is supposed to load everything in as fast as possible. But even when you're in the car, you will see, like, trees shifting and changing instead of just, like, cross-dissolving or fading. And a lot of things will just shift and pop in. Occasionally, I will be traveling so fast in a car that I will see the enemies appear as well as their cars, and they'll drop because they spawn in like 3 feet off the ground and drop down to the ground. So the car will still be bouncing as I'm approaching it. So there's definite pop-in issues that are in there, which is not a bug or a glitch. It's just that's the way the game is coded, and they have to do something efficiency-wise to try and patch it and fix it. So that's what keeps it from becoming like, a really fun 9. And it's like, it's Doom as an open-world game. So it's like, why would the story matter? Why are reviewers going, I just want this really compelling story in a game called Rage.
Right.
I want to have a real good motivation to be filled with rage other than, the title.
Right.
Versus having a shoot 'em up game called Library. And you're like, the action in Library is so boring. I was like, it's called Library.
Exactly. Matt, well, I guess, one more question though, guys, before we, wrap it up here. The last question that I, wanted to ask you guys, and thank you for that though, really quickly, Goose, for, telling me about Rage. Very interesting points, man. But the last thing that I did want to ask you guys is, so with this partnership, I keep wanting to say merger for some reason. It is not a merger.
I have heard a couple people accidentally say that, where they're like, Sony and Microsoft are merging. And I'm like, whoa, no. That would be the bombshell of bombshells.
Right.
Like, give it up, everybody. It's console war is done.
It's over. Exactly.
Just enjoy games at long last,
Exactly. But, I wanted to know, get you guys' opinion on this, with, this happening. Do you guys think that this means that Sony will be possibly, maybe not, first year of next generation, or maybe not even the second year, but do you think eventually they're going to try and do the same thing that Microsoft is trying to do with their games and have it on mobile, have it on tablets, have it on PC, all of these different devices? Do you think that is a possibility of where Sony is going? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the conversation that we had the last time where you guys were saying that Microsoft has been making the most money ever. They had their highest, I guess, quarter.
Yeah, they were, last month they were valued at $1 trillion or something like that. Like
they are at $1 trillion.
They were up there for like a hot second and they jumped back down, and then the trade war screwed everything up. But yeah, they were at the most valuable they've ever been, period.
Good gosh. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's
Remember,
Microsoft.
It's not just Xbox.
Exactly.
Microsoft in general. And their sandbox is a big sandbox.
Absolutely. So with that being said, do you guys think that Sony will go this route? Because a lot of people, they don't think this is something that Sony will do. They're saying they're going to stay traditional. This is not something that they would ever do with their IPs. How do you guys feel? I think it's possible. I think eventually, if the money is right, because I believe Sony also has a new CEO, right? Don't they have a new CEO, at least in the PlayStation side?
It was last year or whatever it was when they were doing the guy's in transition still.
Right.
Like he's not officially 100% yet, but it was last year, I think, when they
Kasarai.
They brought the new guy in, and he was starting to take over about it. And he had been the one mentioning back then about the whole we're probably gonna go all digital, and then everyone was like, no, they're not saying that, and it was like, he's pretty much said it. And no, those are translation issues. He said something else in Japanese, like, I love clamshells and DVDs.
I did not hear that, man. But so do you guys think that he could take the company in that in that direction?
Absolutely, because it's seeing what Microsoft has done with even less than half the number of units on the market to be pulling more profitability and revenue out of it, that seems like the impossible task. And it's like,
it does.
It's like they're taking the wrong approach, going we have to get as many systems out there as possible. And it's like, no, you can just get it out to as many devices as possible is the way of doing it. Microsoft learned that lesson years and years and years ago with just moving Microsoft Office off of just Windows and saying, put Microsoft Office on everything. And it's like, that exploded them as a company, just realizing that that's what they could do and just forget about trying to make sure that Windows dominates and just make it so that their products and services are just available to everyone. So
that's a good point, man. That's a good point.
Sony also has, they don't just have, you have Sony Picture, like I sent that article, PlayStation and whatever. They have Sony Pictures, Sony Music, PlayStation, and in Japan and parts of Asia, Sony has their banking division, which makes them ridiculous money.
Oh, wow.
So they know they're multi-group conglomerates. They're going to do whatever. I don't know. But I really don't know. I don't think it's fair to really to guess. I would assume, because Sony tried to do the gaming phone. They did the Vita thing, but the handheld kind of moved away. They don't make computers anymore. So, I mean, I think it'll be more like if a business opportunity presents itself, and it's a lot cheaper to make an operating system and put your games on an operating system like Steam than it is to make hardware. So maybe that's just the way to go. That way, he and Google or big other companies spend all the money on that. And maybe.
Sony's already aware of it, but they keep it on the down low. Ad-driven media doesn't push anything about Sony's number one intellectual property. I don't know the name of it in Japanese or whatever, but it's that always online mobile app that generates almost all of their revenue, well above any God of War, Spider-Man, etc. It's all added up, doesn't equal that one, whatever the name of it is. It's their number one IP, and it's just a free-to-wait, pay-to-win microtransaction hellscape that no ad-driven media outlet, they keep hush-hush secret about it and go, no, God of War is the number one thing. And it's like, no, it's not. It's their mobile app. Sony's proprietary-owned mobile app that's available on whatever device you want to play it on is their number one generating revenue thing that they have. So
that is insane, man.
They want that to be the whole thing. And it's not like that's the criminal thing. It's just that when we get to the future, the thing that we all fear about it is that it's going to be all a bunch of the stupid mobile apps like corrupting gaming and turning it into a bunch of superficial trash.
Right.
And it's like a lot of companies don't understand that you can do those trashy, flaky mobile app games, but you still have to do the good, solid games that we all enjoy on console to play, which brings everyone into the mythos and the setting and all of the stuff for the thing. But they want to they think of that as like the fat they want to cut off, and they just want the meat to get that's what they think is, because it's the most money.
Right.
They want that to be the only thing. And it's like, you gotta spend some of that insane billions to make something that's worth following. It's not just putting it out there.
They're going to have to learn from watching Epic because, Fortnite is the most played, the amount of money on that. Like, they literally have kids at school that are, like, not eating, not paying attention, and failing classes. And, like, Epic's even having to try to tell people, hey, please don't play this so much. Chill out. Like, could you imagine 30 years ago somebody saying, hey, dude, please don't play our video game that much?
No. They didn't say about, we had our Game Boy Pockets underneath the school desk playing Tetris.
I never did that.
That was always hard, because once those got confiscated, it was like, man, I know that teacher's just giving them away.
Yeah, exactly. Now, really quickly, this is just a side note. Before we wrap up, I want to get you guys' opinion since Cody brought him up. Epic! Who the world saw Epic coming into the PC space and giving Steam, I'm not going to say they're giving them the blues, but I will say that they are giving them a bit of a run right now with all of the exclusives that they are getting. How do you guys feel about this?
Bloody nose.
Absolutely.
Well, the question is also going to be how they're going to spread all this negative, bad juju press, because there is some bad culture stuff that's coming out about it, but it's long needed. Microsoft tried to do it and they screwed up pretty friggin' hard. This is exactly what Valve did with Half-Life 2 15 years ago or whatever the heck, or 10 years ago. Do you remember the complete outrage of people saying, "Oh my God, you have to download this horrible garbage Steam app just to play Half-Life 2. Screw this. This is they're holding the game hostage. This is the worst thing since Hitler and the Holocaust." And then Epic does the exact same thing, and then they're like, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing." And I was like, it's exactly what Valve did 10 years ago, and you guys gobble them up and bend the knee to them, and now you're like, "No, you're destroying the ecosystem." I was like, "Oh, because you can't install an addition." I was like, "Do you have Amazon Prime on your thing? You got your Microsoft store, your Apple store. You got you got your Sony store. You got your whatever
the Ubisoft store. I mean, it's so many launchers on PC right now.
Yeah, right. Nah,
No, go ahead, Cody. Go ahead, man.
That's all I had to say.
Oh, okay. Was that you,
sorry.
Goose?
No, I was about to jump
Goose.
right in there. I was going to say I'm so glad that Epic has done what they've done. Which is totally, like, every single person that works in, number one, frickin' ad-driven media and jagoffs who do nothing but rage bait, try to get as many people who have Steam accounts to get as upset about anything they can possibly push, any BS constructed narrative. Like you might have seen the videos that people made where they're like, the Epic sale is an epic fail.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But here's the thing, when people actually name what developer, I was like, what developers pulled their games? And they're like, the developer of French Fry Simulator and the guy who made Grandma Wheelchair 2012.
Wait a minute, Goose. Hold on, man. Now, I thought that this was a really big problem. I didn't look into it, but I just heard about it today. I thought it was a code red over there at Epic right now.
You need to have permission to tell developers you're going to put you have to ask to put their stuff on sale, unless it's in whatever distribution contract that it says, like, hey, we can put your stuff on sale. Otherwise, a developer has to say, because it's devaluing their product. You can't say, I'm going to take your $20 game and make it $9.99 because I want to sell some copies. They're going to be like, no, you're going to keep it $20 and sell it where we told you to price it.
Exactly.
Like, you set that. That's your thing. So developers can pull their content based on that. But the developers that did react to it, it's nowhere near to the cataclysm. Like, they're acting like, oh, Ubisoft's pulling everything. They got theirs.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was under those pretenses.
No, I went into, there was some video I was watching where someone was trying to still be like, oh, it's so huge. Like, and then he started naming games that I've literally never heard before in my life. And it was just like 3 random indie games pulled their games. And I'm like, they were blowing it so out of proportion to just clickbait into it. And that's the thing that I say when it comes to toxicity and the crap that I want gone for next generation. I love that Epic is putting up the good fight. This is the first time any digital distribution platform has had the money or the backing to just go up toe-to-toe with Steam. Mm-hmm. And also, it benefits every single developer.
Yes, it does. I thought that's wonderful.
I can't believe any gamer going like, oh, I'm truly the hardcore of hardcore gamer, going like, oh, I want developers to make less money and I want Steam to make more. And it's like,
right.
No, you want the developers to be able to make more money.
Absolutely.
Like, if you're running any business, 30% or is it 18 or 12%?
I think it's 12. I could be wrong, but
different. Yeah, it's the big difference. It's like not even, it's less than half the amount. I'm like, 12% versus 30%. Who do you think they're going to choose?
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't blame any developer if one game I was looking for was coming out on Steam and they said, just kidding, it's not coming out at Steam until they finally give us a 12% contract.
Right.
We're not going to put it on Steam. And I'm like, good, stand up for the developer and say, hey, I'm not getting it. And the thing is, like, all this BS outrage, I got to turn that question to you, Kiaun.
Yeah.
Which version of the Epic launcher are you going to download? The $400 version or the $500 version?
Well, I'm going to go with the 4, man.
It's free. I was like, why would you be mad? Why would you be mad? Epic is free.
I know, man. I know. They're all free. All of the launches are free. It's ridiculous.
It's like the true definition of irony when I hear some outraged PC gamer saying, I just want all my games to be in one place. And it's like, dude, that's actual irony, because guess where they all are? In one place! On your computer, you jag-off! It's like,
that's right.
You're gonna have to put different launcher, and they always try to refer to Epic's launcher as inferior, and it's like, why is it inferior? And it's like, because all you do is boot up the game and play it. It's like, oh no! Oh, that's so terrible. I want to be able to review bomb a developer, because then my
that was just ridiculous, man.
Oh, I need Steam achievements, because, editing an INI file to get all 1,000 Steamer score, or whatever they call out of it, that matters. And they name all these BS reasons that are just like, dude, that's not even a chip on the scale. It's like, you can download the game and play it, and it works. And they're going, oh, but China's spying on you.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Credit card info. And the biggest thing that bothers me to no end when it comes to ad-driven media and the BS is it was years ago when Steam was basically buying out every ad-driven media outlet by giving every single journalist the code for free Steam games for life.
Wonder how many people knew that.
A lot of people should have, because I'm not going to mention their names, but there's one podcast you listen to, not Game Enthuse. There's one podcast you listen to, and you give them a shout out. That particular podcast, all of its members bragged on air about getting the free Steam games for life codes. And they even bragged that they had one extra code, and they made a contest for the viewers saying, if everybody likes and subscribes and does all this crap, we'll have a random drawing, and one person gets free Steam games for life.
Really?
And that corrupts everyone. Every single journal outlet that says, I don't want the Epic launcher, and I want to get it on Steam. And it's like, they don't say they're going to buy it on Steam, because they're not buying it. They're just getting it for free. They just want it for free. And they want to attack the other place that isn't giving them free games for life. And that's something where, like, for me, on the great picture, the biggest picture things, it's like, I want the Better Business Bureau and the Federal Trade Commission in on that and saying, you can't give outlets free games for life. That is absolutely the most corrupting BS in the video game industry. Every single one of those codes should be revoked. And I absolutely guarantee you, because jumping way back to the day, we all know the Oprah giving everybody, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. And then the aftermath of that, when it came down to every single one of those audience members had to pay taxes on the free car. And a lot of those audience members couldn't even afford the taxes on it. And that became a thing after it. And the thing is, those free Steam Game for Life codes, I guarantee you not one member of any ad-driven media outlet paid a single cent in taxes on what they're supposed to pay of everything they got for free. And it's dirty, man. It's dirty. It's dirty business.
Definitely a dirty practice,
and Epic
for sure.
isn't giving out free games for life. And that's why journalistic outlets are looking for any excuse they can find to attack the living hell out of Epic. And when the Epic stands up and gets another exclusive, when another developer goes like Outworlds goes, hey, we're going to give a 1-year exclusive to the Epic Store, I'm like, great. Fantastic.
I want them to get Red Dead Redemption 2 so bad.
Oh man, that would be amazing. And I love it. And I'm sitting there like, and there's so many people who are standing against developers,
right,
and standing against clarity, and like, here it comes, everybody, the evil word. Gamergate. Oh no! Clarity in games media. When idiots who are saying that the only thing they ever wanted, because for years they've been bashing every digital distribution platform, whether that's the Uplay, whether that's Origins, whether that's the Microsoft Store, anybody that makes a digital, even GOG, even though GOG is exactly what they say they want, a DRM-free, a no always online, they never advertise GOG. Why? Because GOG doesn't give them everything for free. And it's one of those things where, like, they'll bash every other source. And it's like, can you believe the idea that every single digital distribution platform on PC is trash? Rock bottom, inferior trash, except for Steam, which is perfect.
And they didn't like Steam at first. Steam was trash at first, from my understanding. Nobody liked it at first, but,
everybody jumped right into it because it was the only way to get Half-Life. And
right.
The thing is, the part of karma when it comes to toxicity that I'm so glad about is so many idiots who've been screaming, like, moving the goalposts and saying that it's not about resolution, it's about frame rate, and then moving the goalposts again 2 years ago and saying, oh no, it's all about exclusives. We only like exclusives. Exclusives are the only reason we get anything. And I'm like, now is that vindication where it's like, hey, guess what? The Epic Store heard you, and they're giving you exclusives. And they're like, no, it's not exclusive. It's artificial restrictions of consumer choices. And it's like, oh, and you know why I buy a PlayStation 4 is because I love Sony's artificial restrictions of consumer choices. Because Spider-Man is not a first-party studio making a first-party exclusive. That is a third-party company that could have made that multi-platform. That is absolutely an artificial restriction of consumer choices. But you're down with it because it's whatever that you own. So I want the toxicity gone, man. I also want ad-driven media just gone. As we go into this future of gaming, it's like, if you want to find out if a game is good, ask a gamer. They'll tell you. Or better yet, watch a gamer play their game. We already entered this generation where we have the ability to stream everything that we do on our console, and anybody can find out at any time whether a game is good or not.
Yeah, I do a lot of watching stuff on Mixer now just to see if I'm even going to want a game or not.
Yeah, it's pretty dope that we live in that kind of era, that you can go online, see if you can get a feel for the game by looking at it, like if it's for you or if it's not. So yeah, that's absolutely a very, very positive thing that we have in gaming right now. But man, I guess, hey, you know what? Well, before we wrap it up, do you have anything to say, Cody, after Goose's marvelous rant? I might add.
Send the haters. Rage bait.
His monologue? Nah. I'll let him be his own mad scientist.
I know. Like tinfoil hat off.
Oh man. All right then. Well, guys, I guess, hey, that'll bring this one to a close, man. We'll close the book on this one. But hopefully, I'm going to say this to you guys. Hopefully, I'll be able to have you guys on. E3 is coming up maybe a week before. I don't know what it's looking like for you guys, but we'll see.
Next week is Memorial Day, whatever the heck. And then weekend after that, the 2nd to the 9th, Goose and I are taking our brocation. We're going to go down to visit some friends in Austin, Texas. We're going to be down there.
Oh, that's going to be sweet,
beer, and
man.
More beer.
Yep, beer. And like I said, we're going to get back. Our flight is back Sunday, June the 9th. So we're going to 4 p.m. So we're going to be landing as the Xbox.
Briefing is starting. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yep. Hey, it's all good. Don't worry about it, man. It's always an after show or whatever. I mean, but look, let me let you guys get out of here. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, joined by Mr. Goose, any last words, brother?
Everybody just enjoy your video games, man. We got awesome stuff coming up in the future, and we only got, 2 weeks left before we find out about it all.
Most certainly. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Cody Clark. Any last words from you, brother?
Jumanji,
man. Yes, indeed. And Monopoly as well. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, we're going to get on out of here and get out there, enjoy some games. And until the next time, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.